Carbohydrate is the most abundant organic molecule in nature, but low in human being. So, because human being it only 2/3 of carbohydrates should be intake. Though gutila na carbohydrates is kailangan itaton body, it is importante or essential lagya pa aton. Through it aton kinakaon like rice, cereals, or the breads na naton gini-intake, so na-form niya as a glucose tapos an excess na na-stored niya to ha liver na pwede naton magamit in the future use. So carbohydrates is most abundant in plant because it is commonly occur in plants, or rather should I say that plant produced carbohydrates through photosynthesis. So the two main types of photosynthesis is the cellulose and the starch. So cellulose, it is in the cell wall. So it is a beta glucose or a linear structure. So it can be coiled. So unstarched liwat, it is a long stretch dense. It is convenient to storage of energy. Starch, or should I say it is a energy reserve. So in a small space, the energy can be coiled. So that this is the common way or the most convenient for the energy storage. So the functions of carbohydrates. First is the oxidation provide energy. Storage as a form of glycogen. We all know that glucose is essential to produce an ATP in our body. So para may magamit kita na energy. And also, a carbohydrates that we intake in a form of glucose, it is a fuels of our cells to produce or to have for us to have energy for the future use, even though it only 80% of glucose or the carbohydrates that needs in our body. Carbohydrate, it's said to be a polyhydroxyaldehyde and a polyhydroxyketones. So polyhydroxyaldehyde has 4 valence in carbon. It is a single bond. For the carbohydrate, glucose. For the polyhydroxyketones, it is a double bond. It has no hydrogen, and it is a carbohydrate, fructose. The classifications of carbohydrate through its molecular size. First is the monosaccharide, disaccharide, oligosaccharide, and polysaccharide. Monosaccharide is the building blocks of our carbohydrates because it includes glucose, fructose, and galactose. So, in glucose, it is a most abundant in monosaccharide. Energy is a source of cellular respirations and productions of ATP, and also it nourishes our brain. Well, the fructose is the primary monosaccharide found in sugar, honey, fruits, and plants. While the galactose, it is found in milk or a mammals animals or a milk sugar. So galactose is a bonding result of fructose and lactose. Saccharide means sugar. So in monosaccharide, it involves one sugar. So the structures of monosaccharide cannot be break down through hydrolysis because it is a simple sugar. It cannot be break down into a smaller or simpler. So all monosaccharides has 6 carbon sugar with the formula of C6H12O6. So disaccharides forms when two monosaccharides are formed together through dehydration reaction that forming glycosidic linkages. The glycosidic linkages, it is a line that connects two monosaccharides or to bound monosaccharides. Saccharides contains two sugars. The examples of this is the lactose, maltose, and sucrose. So, lactose found in milk of mammals, example the cow or the breast milk. So, the maltose, it is useful to ferment beer. So, maltose is a result of two or the combinations of two glucose. In oligosaccharides, it contains few sugar or 3 to 9. In monosaccharides that bounded together, so usually found associated with proteins and lipids, so it is commonly in soybeans. The fourth is the polysaccharide. So polysaccharide, contains many monosaccharides. So this is formed when glucose monomer link together to form a long chains of glucose. So polysaccharide is also ideal for storing energy. So it can be a straight chains or a branch chains. So example, so we all know that plants store energy in a form of amylose, which is a straight chain. Kahit ginagamit it a plant, so very good here. Complex pero continuous. So it plants pwede gapon niya amylopectin or the branch chains in amylose. So the other polysaccharides such as cellulose, chitin, and the peptidoglycan. So these three serve as the structural molecules of polysaccharides. When we say mirror image, it is a reflections of object from the mirror. These objects can be divided into two objects with a chiral or achiral. When we say chiral, it is a non-superimposable, and achiral is a superimposable. So, achiral, since it is a superimposable, so and wherein an object can lay or have the same size or features like the other objects. Chiral is the non-superimposable, so the example of this is our hands. So bisan pa nitong pagbalik-balik taron, diri ito yung magiging superimposable or it cannot lay into in our right hand or left. So chirality. So chirality is a type of isomer of two compounds with same formula but different arrangement in space, like the propyl alcohol and the isopropyl alcohol. So magkaibang arrangement tan ira carbon but the same ira formula. Like the carbon 3, the hydrogen 8 and the oxygen though, and hydrogen na usa na dito ha, left parahang kanang profile, while ang kanang isopropyl na dito yahan right or the above. By the way, isomers is or have the same number of atoms of the same elements, but differs in structure, arrangement, and properties. While stereoisomers, it is isomer the same molecular and structural formula but different in arrangements and space. So there are two types of stereoisomers, the enantiomers and the diastereomers. So enantiomers, it is a non-superimposable, and diastereomers is superimposable. So we all know naman ang pagkakaiba, so no need na. Lipids, it is a organic compound found in living organisms. So most lipids are insoluble in water but soluble in fat solvent. So diri hira insoluble in water but soluble in fat solvent. So like, diba, it oil tapos igana mo hiya tubig. So it oil diri bahiya mahalo. So instead na kumuan ba na ma-dissolve yang atong tubig. So ang pressure nga dahan water napupush an oil tikadahan ibaw. So diri hiya na di-dissolve and it is insoluble. So in carbohydrates, their building blocks is monosaccharides, while in lipids, its building blocks is fatty acid. So fatty acid is divided into category: the saturated fatty acid and a non-saturated fatty acid. So saturated fatty acid, it is contain a single bonds between the carbon of atoms. So it is usually solid at room temperature, while the unsaturated is liquid. It is a double bond carbon at room temperature. So lipids has a physical property, the water solubility and the melting point. So in water solubility, the chain is short. Also the chains of fatty acid and lipids, because it is soluble in water, so it is related to saturations. Kay single bond man hiya tapos solid at a room temperature, so ito ang water solubility. In melting point liwat, pag it fatty acid is saturated, so a solid temperature hataas. Pero pag non-saturated liwat iya melting point habubo kay it is a liquid at a room temperature. Again, it water solubility, it iya chain short, tapos fatty acid or lipids is shortest, can be soluble in water. So lipids are classified into the following categories, like waxes, fats and oil, phospholipids, glycolipids, steroids, and prostaglandins and leukotrienes. So this is also an example of lipids. So the first example is waxes. So it is a saturated fatty acid. So it helps to prevent loss of water and a damage from fist. So may dahiya long chain. So the second is fats and oil. So most oil are triglyceride that are liquid at a room temperature, so it is a unsaturated. So, and the most common oils in plant is the olive oil and peanut oil. So the phospholipids. Phospholipids na contain niyan glycerol, fatty acid, phosphate group, and alcohol. So there are two types, the glycerol phospholipids, also called as the phosphoglyceride, and the sphingolipids. So we all know our cell membrane consists of a lipid bilayer composed of two rows of phospholipid arranged to tail and head, wherein the head is the hydrophobic and the tail is the hydrophilic. So the process of moving into high concentration to low concentration is what we call osmosis. So these are the structure of sphingolipids and phosphoglycerides. Glycolipids. So this is also abundant in the brain and myelin sheath of our nerves. So some glycolipids contains glycerol plus 2 acid and a monosaccharide. So this is the structure or the diagram of glycolipids. While in steroids are complex, may 4-ring structure. So it includes ang mga cholesterol, bile salt, and fat-soluble vitamins, and steroid hormones. So this is the structures of steroids. We all know naman ang cholesterol na it is a component of cell membrane, myelin sheath, and brain and nerve tissues, or diba fats gyapon itiya. So bile salt, kung inilot na bile salt, nasisynthesize iniya nga duha liver na tikang ha cholesterol, tapos na storage siya ha gallbladder. So iniliwat na fat-soluble vitamins includes ito hilidaan male sex hormones, the testosterone and androsterone, and female sex hormones, which is the estrogen, such as estradiol and progesterone. So in prostaglandins and leukotrienes, so also called as arachidonic acid. So it is both have a wide variety of effects in body chemistry. So they are the one who acts as a mediator of hormones, lower or raise blood pressures. So in membrane lipids, madakita passive transport process, and the facilitated transport process, the active transport process, and the emulsification lipids. So in the passive transport process, so ang fats or oil kaya niya sumakop ngadto sa na cells without energy. So namuvira from higher concentration to lower concentrations, or the osmosis. Diri nila kailangan energy just to enter to the cell. So while the facilitated transport process, may din niya escort, which is protein. So in order para ya maka-enter nga duha usa na cell, may din niya protein. So, an active transport process liwat, kailangan liwat niyahin ATP or energy to enter into the cell. So, may daghapon kita the messenger lipids or the steroid hormones. So this is the 6 hormones of male and female, that is testosterone, the estrogens. So, amo na to. Tapos, may daghapon kita sinisaring na emulsification lipids. So, amo ini ang mga fluids from liver. Na-store siya nga to gallbladder and released in small intestine. They're the one who stabilized water and soluble substances. Now I will discuss about proteins. So, proteins is considered as the substance of life. So, because most chemicals in all living cells are composed of proteins. An complete collection of proteins within a given cell is known as the cell proteome, and the studies performed to explore the structure and activities of proteins are called proteomics. So, if it is a complete collection of proteins, it is called a proteome. However, if it is the study or performed to explore the structures and activities of proteins is called proteomics. So also, protein contain a carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur. So, in proteins, amino acid is the building blocks. Each amino acid is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. 3 of the amino acid also have a sulfur atoms in the molecule. So, humans can synthesize a certain amino acid but not others. So, those cannot be synthesized called essential amino acid. So, when we say it is an essential amino acid, it is very important to our body to in protein synthesis, because we cannot manufacture the essential amino acid if it is essential that they be included in our diets. So, in carbohydrates, the monosaccharide are joined together by the glycosidic band. However, in the proteins, the amino acid and proteins are joined together by the peptide bonds. So, glycosidic bonds and peptide bonds are example of covalent bond. So, ang mga enzymes are proteins that function as a biological catalyst, that is, the catalyst or speed up metabolic reaction. It is produced by living cells as instructed by genes on the chromosome. So, also enzyme referred to as a biological catalyst or the agent that speed up the chemical reactions without being consumed in the process.